Hello and welcome back to the Penno Channel. We are back. It's in the new year. It's 2025. Hope you had a great new year and Christmas. But it's that time of the year again. The January transfer window is open. Players can now move and look to sign at new clubs. Potential loan deals as well going into it. So yeah, we're back. Villa are back. Villa are looking. And what can I say? Over the first day and a half, it's already been action-packed and there's been a lot of news, a lot of rumours flying about and potential movement from Villa as well. So we'll get onto it. But first, before we start, if you could subscribe if you're new around here and also drop a comment on your thoughts on what Villa potentially need this window. So then let's move straight into it then. And the first big rumour, a report that's been led by David Ornstein as well, is for Donyell Malen from Borussia Dortmund. Now, there's potential rumours. There's a few sources saying that Villa were looking into Malen yesterday. But as of today, David Ornstein's posted that Aston Villa are looking at Donyell Malen and have submitted an €18 million bid with potential add-ons as well. So Villa have gone in there straight away. They've identified their first target, a right winger specialist who can also play in the centre forward or the left wing. Donyell Malen, a pacey winger. 25 years of age now, and it's with Malen's career, it's kind of been stop. It's stalled a lot. Came through, he was at the Arsenal Academy for a number of years as well. Came through at PSV where he really made his name, scored an abundance of goals in the Eredivisie, and was really put out there as one of the top prospects coming out of the Dutch league. Really a bright future was expected for Donyell Malen. I remember he was meant to be, the next best thing coming out of the Dutch league and going to be for the Netherlands. He hasn't quite kicked on. Obviously, he got that move off of that to Borussia Dortmund. And, when you usually go to Dortmund at that point, they identify and track the top talents within Europe. And Malen was one of those. They looked to develop him out there, and he's found himself out there for a number of years now and hasn't quite hit the heights that they were expecting. Albeit he still has 41 caps for the Dutch. You'd have seen him play in the Euros this year. But again, it was more coming off the bench. I think, players like Cody Gakpo have kind of pushed him out of that scenario. So, yeah, it's been a bit stop-start. He had a good season last season. He did end up getting 15 goals in all comps and 5 assists as well, 13 in the Bundesliga for 38 games. But again, for Dortmund, he can find himself being a bit pot player. Coming off the bench at times, you've had Julian Brand, you've got Gittins, who's really showing how good he is, who came through the Man City Academy. So he's kind of finding himself out in the cold at times and not starting games. So yeah, this season he's got 5 goals. He's got 2 in the Champions League, 3 in the Bundesliga. And what we're looking at here, we're looking at a right winger who has a lot of pace, who's very direct. Can be clinical at times in front of goal, or if you get him into good positions, he does score. I wouldn't say clinical as such, but if you do get him into good positions, he will score goals. It's just about getting him into those positions. His build-up's not the best in that sense, but he's tricky, he's pacey, he's dynamic, and potentially Villa see that as something that they're lacking. Obviously, we had Moussa Diaby last season, who we sold on for 60 million. Players like Leon Bailey haven't quite kick-started their season. We're halfway through the season. Leon Bailey, he hasn't scored a goal in the Premier League. He hasn't been as direct as we'd like to see him, and his finishing's been nowhere near as good as it was last season. Leon Bailey got 19 GA last season, and we're not seeing that. I think he's only got 2 assists this season so far. So he's lacking. Obviously, Philogene hasn't quite made a step up, who we'll go into later. So yeah, I can see why Villa are looking to get him, and 25 years old, the price, if we can get him for around 18 to 20 million euros. Some may see that as a potential bargain and a player where you can take a gamble on. He's contracted till 2026 for Dortmund, so he's coming towards the end of his contract. He'll have a year left after this summer. So yeah, it probably is the right time to strike. We'll see if Villa do get him. Looks like there's real intent, and obviously Ornstein releasing the story today means that Villa are looking to sign him, and I can see that one happening for sure. I really can, and it seems like there's a bit of wiggle room in terms of PSR. Moving on from that, reports Kolo Muani. We all know Kolo Muani, obviously. Emi Martinez playing for Aston Villa. We all know about that save in the World Cup and how huge it was. While the player who hit the shot was Kolo Muani. if he was to come to Villa, I don't know how that would all work around at training, man. Emmy would be in his head, as he has probably been since that World Cup final. But yeah, Kolo Muani was a breakthrough star for Frankfurt in the Bundesliga. That's where he made his name, I think, in part of playing in the Europa League as well as that. He was an unreal player. And PSG picked him up for a whopping 95 million euros in the summer of 2023. A massive outlay. Obviously, playing for France, I think they were trying to go for that French core with Ousmane Dembele, Bacola and Kolo Muani. They kind of changed their transfer actions and transfer plans from previous years where they just go for absolute stars like, Neymar and others to mention as well. So they kind of changed how they were trying to work in a Zaire Emery as well. Within that, they wanted quite a French core within there. But with Kolo Muani, it hasn't quite worked out again. This season, he's got 2 goals, 1 assist in 14 games. Not the best numbers. And there's rumours that potentially they could be looking to sell. The reported fees around 60 million euros. That's still a hefty amount of money for a player who's 26 years of age now and hasn't really kicked on and shown what he's capable of at PSG in Ligue 1. So him going to another club, albeit in La Liga or the Premier League, how would it work? So we'll see if there's anything within that rumour regarding Kolo Muani. Obviously, 60 million, that's a huge outlay for a player that's not really been performing either. There was sources and reports that PSG were interested in John Duran. Now, John Duran is a player I don't want Villa to lose. He's one of the best and up-and-coming strikers in the world. So I would not want that to happen. There's talk potentially of a swap deal or PSG offering Muani plus money for John Duran. No, I wouldn't want that to happen. So the Kolo Muani rumour, I don't think it has any legs really in that sense. But we'll see what happens regarding that and if that's something that will be looked to further in the summer and not in this window. Now moving on, an area I think all Villa fans can recognise and understand that Villa need to improve on, and that's defence. The first defensive rumour that's been going around is Antonio Silva. Now, for me, I think Villa need a right-back. We've needed a right-back for so many years now, and a right-back is crucial. Antonio Silva is a centre-back, 21 years of old, from Benfica now. Antonio Silva, a number of years ago, was lauded as the next best thing, the next saviour of Portugal in sense, especially at centre-back. Obviously, Pepe's recently retired as well, and what a career Pepe had. And he was built up along with, Inácio as Portugal's future and in that position. Played for Portugal, 17 caps so far, played at the Euros, didn't have the best tournament. And since that point, really, he hasn't really been getting into the Benfica side. Otamendi's still going strong, and he's starting ahead of him now. He's been finding himself on the bench for a lot of games this season, so he hasn't really featured, and it looks like they could be looking to let him go. A player who's only 21, a centre-back, and has so much potential. Benfica could possibly cash in on him. It's been reported that Juventus have been looking at him. 45 million euros is around the ballpark that Benfica want. And Villa were linked as well. Now, I think the club's looking at, an option to buy after a loan deal, loaning him for the rest of the season, and a potential option to buy. And I don't think Benfica want anything to do with it. Now, the big thing out of this is Antonio Silva is a George Mendes client, and we've already had our deals and altercations and sources and transfer rumours and stories throughout summers and January windows with George Mendes clients. Obviously, it happened first with Marco Asensio, who ended up going to PSG. It was linked, all the big outlets, Fabrizios, and were saying Asensio was potentially going to Villa. It was, Villa were dealing with it, and he ended up at PSG. And then the massive saga we had in the summer with João Felix, who ended up going to Chelsea. We all remember that. We all remember Fabrizio day in, day out saying Villa were there. Never happened. So those two players are George Mendes clients, and Antonio Silva is a George Mendes client as well. So I feel like this is just Mendes using Villa's name again to sell a story, to put it out into the world for potentially Juventus coming to sign the player, and just showing that other clubs are interested, so they best hurry up. That's how I see it. I don't think we go for him, but we'll see how that develops. And for me, I think Villa need a right back. With the injury to Pau Torres, we could potentially do. We're looking at a centre-back as well, because our options are now Carlos, Konza and Mings. But I feel we need a right-back. Just to have a right-back and for Konza to play in his natural position as a centre-back is what Villa need to do. So yeah, those are the incomings. In terms of outgoings, it looks like Lewis Dobbin is going to Norwich back on loan. Obviously, he went to West Brom, didn't cut it there. Came back from that loan recently, and now it looks like he'll be going to Norwich on loan. And then Philogene as well. It hasn't quite happened for Philogene so far at Villa since his return from his loan at Hull, from us signing him from Hull, should I say. Obviously, Unai wanted him back. There's reports that Monchi came back and stated that last season, every week, Unai would be on his case saying we need to get Philogene back. We bought him back because we had that clause within his contract. But one club that was interested in him at the time when we were going for him was Ipswich. They were newly promoted. They were looking to sign players. And it seems as if Ipswich want to, get Philogene on loan now. There's been reports coming out that Philogene Villa will look to loan him out from, reputable outlets, John Percy being that. And I can see that happening. I can see Philogene going out on loan, especially if this Malen transfer does happen. Hasn't quite happened, as I say, for Philogene. It looks like he's played within himself when he's been on the pitch. That's how I take it. Had that fantastic performance against Bayern Munich where his defensive actions were more relied upon. Really played well. Huge moment. Massive game. He started in that game and had a great performance. But yeah, he hasn't really kicked on this season. And I think he needs to get some confidence back. Would I learn to Ipswich do that? Well, they have some really good attacking players in Amari Hutchinson, Liam Delap, and then Philogene operating off that left-hand side in that free. That could cause a lot of teams problems, and Philogene could really reignite his career in his season again. So I can see that one happening. We'll have to wait and see how that develops, but I can see Philogene potentially going out on loan this January window. So all of that's already happened. It's only been a day and a half, so there's going to be a lot more news and stories. I think Villa, for me, right back, centre-back, and a wing option. I think that will be the areas they'll be looking to go for. Again, thank you all for watching. As I said, if you could like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts on what you think Villa need to do in this January window. I'll see you on the next update. Have a good day.